Star Wars gave me a place that had situations that I could apply to my disease. And in a way, Star Wars probably saved my life. Empire Strikes Back.
I will say Star Wars.
Everyone has a Star Wars story. I'm Jordan Hembrow, and I'm meeting Star Wars fans who've been inspired and changed by the galaxy far, far away. Today I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, talking to Dale, a cancer survivor who found strength in Star Wars, along with a surrogate family in its fans. This is Dale's Star Wars story. Dale?
Jordan?
Hey, how are you?
I'm great, come on in.
All right.
For me, Star Wars is inspiring. It's given me courage, and no matter how bad things got, there was always hope. I can do this. I can do anything because I believe in myself, which is a huge thing that is taught throughout all of the films, is just to believe in your own abilities to be able to overcome things.
Have you always been a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I saw it when I was 9 years old. My parents took me on a Friday night and we stood in line and the show sold out. So we stood in front of this patio furniture store for 2 hours until the next movie.
And you wanted to see it that much, you just like, we're waiting.
Yes, and my parents wanted to see it just as badly as I did. So, I mean, it was fantastic to be able to, sort of have that whole family decision of, are we staying? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Definitely staying to see this.
So how was 9-year-old Dale seeing Star Wars?
Loved it. I mean, it was absolutely insane. For me, it was really an interesting experience because my mother is from Japan. Dad is of Scottish and Welsh descent. And I think that made it more important to me because the stories were taken from two different places, kind of like, my life. And my mom grew up watching the Kurosawa films, and my dad grew up watching, the Saturday matinee serials and stuff. And so maybe that's part of the reason why they were invested in these films and enjoying them as a family, because they recognized where they were coming from.
Let's fast forward a little bit. A little something called the internet comes along.
That was like a huge thing. Like when StarWars.com came out, it was so cool that I could have a piece of that in my home, and I would find people and we would start having these conversations online, and it really became a community because we started to talk not just about Star Wars, but our lives. So we became more of a family that way, even though we weren't really face to face. Star Wars brought us together.
Let's skip ahead right now to 2014. Something goes on in your life that affects you profoundly.
Yeah. I started feeling kind of, not myself for, like about a 6-month stretch of time. And between Thanksgiving and Christmas, the doctor that I had seen, he had told me to go get an x-ray and some blood tests. And I'm glad that he did because he found out that I have a cancer called multiple myeloma. And it was important that he tell me that information and then we don't wait. And then the day after Christmas, I had an MRI and they called me up that afternoon and said, we just read your MRI, you've got this massive tumor on your back and we need to start radiation as soon as possible. And I said, well, what's as soon as possible? They're like, how fast can you get down here? So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we started, treatment. When they did find out that it was definitely multiple myeloma, the doctor was like, do you have any questions? And I said, yes, my first question is, can I go to Star Wars Celebration? And he was like, really, that's your question? I'm like, well, yeah, it's coming up in April and I need to see these people. The doctor was like, you're gonna need that by then because we're thinking about doing a stem cell transplant for you. You're gonna want this break. And so I'm like, good. The doctor orders me to go and be with my friends and be in and amongst all the things that I love. So I think I should go. If you don't know anything about the illness, is like your white blood cells start to mutate and they clone themselves and they crowd out all of the good cells, like the red blood cells and the white cells that are actually functioning correctly. That kind of was a part of my whole Star Wars mindset. I was just like, oh my God, I'm like a Jedi and the clones are gonna turn on me and they're trying to kill me and I didn't know it was coming. So that was the first thing I think I thought of when they told me how this works. I was like, oh my God.
Okay, so you make it to Anaheim. What'd that do for you?
It was really, really, really huge. The excitement of just being there really gave me some strength. As soon as I got there, it was such an electric feeling. And it's like, you can't help but go, I'm here and this is my life and this is a really good place to be. The only time that I ever cry about this whole experience now is when I speak of gratitude that I have for, soon I'm gonna do it again. But I'm just so grateful for the friends and the support, and that's the only time I cry.
I understand that you had a very unique coping mechanism to get through all of this in the form of cosplaying?
Yeah, well, that came after a lot of visualization and meditation. When I was being treated initially, I found myself picturing these battles with clone troopers and Jedi and picturing the cancer as being something that they were fighting against. When I had to shave my head, I was like, oh my gosh, that's just like Obi-Wan when he was going undercover as Rako Hardeen in the Clone Wars. And so I just buzzed my head and, didn't even think twice about it. So what eventually happened then is I got further along in this. I created a character called Dexbalagon. One of the medicines that pretty much anybody who's got multiple myeloma takes is dexamethasone. It's a steroid, and it is so present that I'm just like, well, Dex also sounds like a name, so let's do Dex. Balagan is from a modern Hebrew word, balagan, which means chaos and disarray, and that's kind of how I feel when I'm on the Dex, so I created Dex Balagan.
And you got a pretty rad tattoo.
Yeah, the thing with the tattoo that's so funny is like when you get radiation, they mark you with these little tattoos, and I'm like, seriously, those are my first tattoos? And so I got this.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And it says, I survived Order 66.
You really owned this. I mean, you took this cancer and you basically fought it on your own terms.
Mm-hmm. Because it's never gonna go away. It's gonna be with me forever. There is no cure for it. They treat it as a chronic disease.
So you're still living with cancer?
Yes. I just recently signed up to be a mentor for other people who are going through cancer because I can hopefully be able to help carry them through, and maybe I can be their Jedi master that is instructing them to find that place that they need to be in order to be able to make their lives better. If you have a passion, you should follow it. And that's the thing that's going to carry you through your illness and your struggle, because you're not going to be focusing so much on just the illness. You're going to be concentrating on living. And I think that's really important, that you keep things normal and that you keep enjoying the things that you love, and then find more people like you and find these amazing truths of bravery and hope, because without that, it's like anybody's life is kind of done.
Star Wars has been a great partner for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's affected me on so many levels, but Star Wars gave me a place that felt familiar and warm and safe, a place that had situations that I could apply to my journey as somebody who is living with a disease. In a way, Star Wars probably saved my life. Some people might find that to be very trite, but it is something that has lived with me so much longer than this illness has, and I'm thankful for the things that it's brought in that were so completely unexpected. The friendships and the experiences that have enriched my life, and those were the things that were worth living for.
I never thought about that way.
It's been a companion.